Good Wednesday afternoon to you. 4 o'clock time for Sports4CLE. Thanks for joining us. Browns getting ready to head to Baltimore Sunday, 1 o'clock. Critical game. Must win at 2-4. They need to get back to 3-4, then to 4-4. Playing the Bengals, but all start Sunday with a game they need to win against the Ravens. And they will have to do so without Wyatt Teller. As it looks like Teller will be out the Ravens game with that left calf strain. Chance he misses the Bengals game too, based on what happened with a right calf strain a couple years ago. This one better though, it's not an Achilles. Also some news from practice today. Clowney did not practice, Teller obviously didn't. Conklin and Garrett resting. Ward still in concussion protocol. So they all sit out Wednesday with practice. With that, let's welcome in G. Bush, host of the Barbershop, 92.3 The Fan, Saturday mornings, 8 until noon. Also, Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, 11 to 1 on YouTube. G. Bush, how bad was the Patriots game? Let's start there.
It was. I put on one of my tags from one of my videos. I said rock bottom. To me, that was just, it was just so hard to watch because we thought this defense was going to be something, and we thought it was going to be a top 5 defense. And after you lose that game, you're sitting there left to wonder whether or not either it's the scheme, either it is the players or effort, or the most alarming thing is saying, well, what if these guys aren't as good as we thought? And that's always something when you talking about, you're trying to figure things out in a window. And we've been saying for the last 4 to 5 years, the Browns have a certain amount of a window. It kind of started with Odell Beckham Jr. You went out and got him. You already had Nick Chubb on that, with the roster. And now it's looking like, okay, we got Chubb. Baker Mayfield looks like he was going to be the quarterback. And then you already had Jarvis Landry. So now you're thinking, wow, people started talking about even back then, oh, wow, look at this core. This core is young talent. And then all of a sudden, one by one, those guys turn out to be right fits. OBJ leaves. Jarvis Landry is on his way out. Baker Mayfield turns out to have to be the franchise quarterback that you thought. Nick Chubb is still here. But that's the scary thing about it. Like, we pencil a lot of teams in for being championship caliber teams. And then slowly but surely, you find out the harsh way that maybe that free agent that we picked up wasn't that good. Maybe we thought the upside of this guy we drafted was supposed to be higher than what it is. And we're actually coming to the conclusion that he may not fit this scheme, or he might be the right fit for what we're doing. So at this point, we've gone through a lot of different things, but the craziest part is so this is where you're at. Mac Jones was a rookie last year. He put like 45 on you at 40-some points last year. The Zappy guy, he comes in this year, right? No receivers of Dane. Stevenson is a nice guy, but I don't really know. They got Judon or that side of the football, but no real name players, and a guy named Zappy, and he comes in and he puts almost 40 on you, 38 points. Like, all these points that you're giving up to inexperienced rookie-type quarterbacks. And this is the level of the defense. And you just look around and you say, at some point, you're going to have to start wondering, was it the fact that these guys aren't on the same page, or is it the fact that they're just not that talented like we thought? Yeah,
and again, it's 6 games into the year. It's a quarter of the season, almost a third of the season. So, it's more than a game or two. All right, let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hi, it's Tony from Colorado. I've watched these guys since 1965. Our Brownies, you die with them. But I got to say, right now they don't want to play for Joe Woods. They just don't want to play. There's no aggression. And, this comes from a football guy. You got to get out there and you got to want, and they just don't want. There has to be a reason. Give us back the way they played Pittsburgh in that second half. That's a win. Okay, thank you. Bye.
And as always, appreciate all the voicemails. I kind of had the same feeling. I don't know if it's they don't want to play for Joe Woods. I don't think this defense is playing to the strengths of the individuals that are comprised in it. You're asking them to do things that aren't their strengths, And they're going to do it, but I don't know if they're going to do it at a level. I mean, to your point, there were guys that were so wide open against the Patriots. It was, it looked like blown coverage, and it wasn't.
They was on people. They was actually covering somebody then, right? I don't know what's more crazy. You're disappointing. Yeah. See, there's a lot of people. God bless your souls out there. Not a lot of people not gonna come on and just be as blatant as me. I ain't that famous yet. I always say I'm not that famous. I can still tell the truth a lot. Maybe in 10 years you'll catch me and I'll be more subdued and give you the nice, polite way. But no, this defense does not want to play for Joe Woods. And I can tell because I've been on defenses before where I've been on the defensive line in practice, and I seriously question whether or not my defensive coordinator knows what he's talking about. Because after so many times that you're telling me that you got faith in what you're calling, and I go out there at game 1 and we get torched. Game 2, we get blown out. Game 3, we couldn't even watch the film because it was just that bad. We didn't have nothing good to show. Game 4, we had the game 1, and we just let it melt away because we don't know what we're supposed to be doing. After that happens, like you said, this is the 7th game of the week. Players who put all that time, energy, and effort into these game plans to learning and doing what exactly you want them to do, all of a sudden you're looking around, you're saying, this ain't working. This ain't working, and not only against the best quarterbacks like Justin Herbert, this don't work against the journeyman, the Marcus Mariotas, the old washed-up Joe Flacco's, the guy that came off the street and threw for 300 and Zappy. Like, this isn't working against anybody. And so what you start to do is the first thing that they realize is chances are if I got a contract, it's more punitive to get rid of me than it is a coach. So what they do, they either do one of two things. They either get up and start saying stuff in the public. John Johnson just said something in the public today. Or you could tell it on the field. And you can always tell by gang tackling, right? The lack thereof gang tackling. See, a passionate defense has more than one guy around the football because they never assume that you're going to make a tackle. Everybody's saying, I'm going to make this tackle. You don't see the passion. You don't see the fire. You don't see any arguments on the sideline. You don't see any coaches in anybody's faces. So to me, that is a team that says, well, I'm going to make a business decision on this one. Joe Woods will be gone before I am. We're going to show we disinterested by our body language, our emotions, and the way we play defense. Because defense is nasty, wanting emotion. Browns have shown me none of that.
Yeah. They're not dictating anything. The offense is dictating everything to this defense right now. And if that means they don't want to play for Joe Woods, that's what it means then. But you can look. This defense is not aggressive enough. Sunday, Jacoby Brissett, really for the first time this season, didn't play well. That was a game that was just not a good game. He addressed the team about the need for everybody to be better. Take a listen to Jacoby Brissett about why he did that.
It was just one of those moments where something needed to be said by somebody, and as the quarterback, as the leader of this team, I felt the liberty to do that, and yeah.
It sounded like a lot of guys appreciated that. They really took it to heart. Does that mean even more where guys are, listening to what you're saying?
I only do it because I hope people's listening, because I need to hear it myself, So hopefully it translates, and I think it will. I think it has. Guys understand the urgency that we need to play with and focus with this week of preparation, and that's the mindset.
And again, G. Bush, we're starting to hear urgency, and I like hearing that because there hasn't been a lot of that the first 6 weeks.
At all. And I'll start with this. Starts with the coach. I had a problem with them not playing in the preseason like that. I just did. Because if you coming into the season and you want to say it's guys who are proven, but I look across the league and Andy Reid in week 1 has Patrick Mahomes playing significant snaps. Significant snaps Patrick Mahomes is playing. And so when I go back and watch the Cleveland Browns, I say, okay, well, either way, if Deshaun Watson was playing or not playing, as a new offense, new system, whatever, he should be playing. Then you go to Jacoby Brissett. I look at it and say, once again, new office, new system. We're going to have to figure out what you guys are going. All kind of young receivers. Amari Cooper, your best receiver, is there. He's new. So I'm thinking like, oh, all these guys going to have to get some of these reps, all of them. And for them to come out there in the preseason and punt on everything, they punted on certain things that you have to get used to, like making calls. See, I don't need you to come out here and do things like tackle and blitz and be in midseason form. But you know what practice is for? It's for doing the things that they said they've been messing up for about 7-8 weeks, and that's communication. How can you have guys who aren't in a game atmosphere where it's under a play clock, it's under the ref's eyes because they're going to be calling fouls and they're going to be calling penalties, they're going to be doing all of that, and it's somebody else that you haven't played against? So yeah, you now have to get out of the huddle, and you have to now understand what your read is, and you do have to do checks, and you do have to get people lined up, and then you get it snapped, ready to go play, and make a tackle, do it all over again. People are acting like that part of the game don't matter. And if you watch the Cleveland Browns, all of these things are things that you do, as these are fundamental things. And my frustration level is you wait to 7 games in, and then you say you got urgency. Where's the person that says after week 1, when the wake-up call, when you let the Panthers get back in the game, and then you did what you did in those missed assignments, why was there no urgency then? I think we've all, sometimes I even give it, I put it on some of the media. I put it on myself, because we always don't want to seem like we knee-jerk reaction people, and we want to give them the benefit of the doubt. And we want to say, well, look, it's early, we still can do. And guess what? It is early to a certain extent. But it's a false sense of security just because you can do the mental gymnastics in your head to say, if we beat the Ravens and we beat Cincinnati, we're in first place. But under what dream world are you in that what you put out on tape is good enough to beat the Ravens or the Bengals? It's crazy. You shouldn't even say that out your mouth. You should say, we got to worry about one quarter at a time, because all that other stuff that's a pipe dream if you think you're going to come out here and division games and win those playing like you're playing.
G. Bush and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out, other side of the break. We'll head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason, talking more about the defense. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns with G. Bush. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hi, this is just wondering, when are the Browns going to realize that we have sideline to sideline speed linebackers, and the key to that is getting some beef on that defensive front to eat up some blocks so that our linebackers can run free. I mean, it's not rocket science, it's not elementary, it's just simple, and we just seem to want to address that issue on our team. Thanks for letting me call. Have a good day.
Appreciate all the voicemails, G. Bush. I agree. We were concerned about the defensive tackle. We said there was going to be opportunities for young guys to step up. Nobody in that interior defensive line is stepping up.
Yeah, that's the most disappointing part about it because me just knowing what I know. I mean, I'm not John Madden or anything, but I've watched football a long time, and me playing a position up front, I just know how difficult it is to win if you don't have any guys in the middle. Like, you know, and I understand this is a new wave of NFL where everybody's kind of a hybrid player. They're looking for speed, agility. They're really not even asking you to like block it and, you know, get rid of blockers and block shed and do things like that. They're asking you to like pretty much run around blocks and make tackles and be athletic and stop the pass. But I think this is a case where we're all seeing firsthand of the way that your team looks when you don't have anybody in the middle. And when you take a look at what the Browns are doing, if you can't stop nobody on the run, and they're getting, you know, teams that are just walking up and coming into First Energy Stadium and putting close to 200 yards on you on the ground, then you can't stop anything, because if you can't stop the run, you can't stop play action. If you can't stop play action, you don't have a prayer and you know what to stop their offense. Like, it's just, you can't do it. Not only that, but they aren't good tacklers. They just, you know, there's plays where you see two people tackle a guy, Delpit and JOK just hit a guy and slid off of him. Tight ends are walking wide open. I mean, the play at the end of the game where he catches the ball and goes down the sideline, he's wide open. Jet motion sweeps wide. No one touches these guys. And so that's my problem. Is trying to look at this defense and to fool myself into thinking that there's fixes for that. There's no fixes for that. That's fundamentally bad defense. And I think it's fundamentally bad coaching. And I know people to say you don't want to call people out, but sometimes you're going to have to do something. You don't want to call people out in a press conference. You don't really give any, you know, in-depth answers as to what you think your problem is. And then the starters still start. The playing time is still the same. And then the consequences and what happens is the same on the field, because you're not changing anything really. You're just saying what you need to do to get to the next week and hoping that you get a win. That's not going to happen, especially when you start to play Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow. For me, the defense, they're not winning no more unless they can go find some new D tackles or dramatically turn, I don't know, these guys into Cinderella overnight. It's not going to work. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, you're going to keep getting somebody running right at you is what you're going to get, and then that will open up the play action, and you're going to see some tight ends go crazy, and it's coming. All right, Browns. We're looking at some guys. So the Browns worked out former Ravens practice squad defensive tackle Aaron Crawford. That's a big guy, goes 6'1", 315. The Rams cut Tack McKinley yesterday, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him show up in Berea for a workout. And the Bears are shopping Robert Quinn per Jason Lock and Fora. They'll be selling low. He's an older defensive edge guy. So, again, I don't know if any of those are fixes, but right now, you start looking at reinforcements. Give me big bodies.
Yeah, you need that in a lot, in a hurry. I'm definitely looking at Robert Quinn. I'll take because here's the thing. The bad part about it is that the Browns are trying to they're figuring out that there's not very many quality defensive linemen out there. There's not really quality dudes just sitting at home. And I know people at this point, I just think they're just not going to touch Ndamukong Suh. But the ironic part about it is I think that's exactly what they need. I think that's exactly up. Sheldon Richardson, they should be looking at all avenues possible to get this thing turned around. Because I'm going to give you this. I know everybody got this, security here and everything is great. And I'm not going to say they're going to fire Stefanski or whatever the case may be. But look, man, this thing right here with the schedule you got, you could be looking at 2-7 real fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could be looking at 2-7 quick.
Yeah, the quarterbacks that are coming, They're a whole lot better than the ones you just left behind. A whole lot better. All right, let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey, guys. I think we have to remember that on this show a while back, you put forth a list showing that the Browns have the second youngest roster in the NFL. That is mostly evident on the defensive side of the ball, and a couple of our starters missed significant time due to injury, costing them some experience as well. Our running game is the best in football. Amazing how our older, veteran players are what makes that happen. As for the coordinators, they need to keep things simplified, not overly so, but you get it, from someone on the outside looking in. But the principle, beat your man, still applies. Hey, veteran linebacker Deion Jones should help a lot. Good move by AB. Appreciate your comments as always. Bye now.
Appreciate all the voicemails. Yeah, they're young. They're just not getting it done. It's one thing to be young, but, if you're on the field, it's more than a game. We're 6 games into this, so that's a third of the regular season. It's no longer a blip; it's a trend.
Yeah, I always go to this. I think sometimes they say, G. Bush, you use a lot of analogies. The reason I use so many analogies is I want to give the context and to see, does this match up with the way life really works? When you go to a job, right? You get to a job. You get there. They teach you what to do. You get 2 weeks training, right? You go up, you show up. Obviously, there's going to be some ramp-up period to get to you where you need to go. But say, for instance, you've been at that job a year. After a certain point in time, that's just your responsibilities. You know what they are. Matter of fact, if you gave you 3 months, you know what your responsibilities are. But just think if you came into year 2, you're still a young employee, and you just came to work one day and just didn't do what you were supposed to do. You said, why didn't you turn that file in, right? Why didn't you give me that report? You do the report every Monday, right? We do it every Monday. And you come in and say, well, I'm still technically, boss. I'm still young. I only been here like a year. So that revenue report, I'm supposed to be doing it. But since I was young, I just forgot. No, you might be able to get that off once. Until the next time it happens, he's like, listen, bro, I don't know what you want. What do you got going on here? But this not working. It's the same thing for football players. You don't just forget what your assignment is. It just, that shouldn't happen every week. And when it comes down to the basics of playing the game, you have to tackle. You have to know what you're doing. You need to understand certain things, right? And so when we keep saying over and over, they're young. Well, look, man, the teams that are winning in this league, their young guys get it. The teams that are winning in this league, they read and react on the run. The teams that's winning in this league, their young players understand what they do. They come in, they perform, and guess what? They develop those guys. The Browns have not only not been progressing, they're regressing. JOK looks worse. Denzel Ward looks worse. You're looking at guys like, I don't know what Grant Delpa's doing half the time. Newsome doesn't look like he did last year. So my thing is this, Clowney, he's hurt, injured. The defense in general has taken a step backwards, which is alarming because one of the things they touted was, we got everybody back. Everybody is back. And here we are.
G. Bush and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. We'll hear from John Johnson III on the other side of the break, talking about the defense. Sports4CLE, be right back. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns with G. Bush, host of The Barber Shop, 8 till noon on 92.3 The Fan, as well as the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, 11 to 1 on here on YouTube. All right, John Johnson talked about correcting the defensive issues and what the Browns defense needs to do.
It's a commitment thing. Like, when practice is over and our day is done, you can't just run out of the building and forget about, your job. I think we need everyone in this building to really be 100% in on the task at hand. And right now, I think we're at a place where that's not the case. So whatever we got to do to get as many guys, if not everyone, in on the same page, I think that's what it is, because that's the only way things are going to change.
Why do you think you just said it's not the case? Why do you think it's not the case, and how do you make it the case?
Yeah, I honestly don't know, but you could say we're a younger team. but that's no excuse. This is a big-time league, the top of the top, and like I said, it's not an excuse. So we got to find ways, however that may be. The leaders on this team got to get together and figure it out, but we got to change something.
And G. Bush, that's really the first time you have heard a veteran come out and say that this year.
The disturbing part about this, I played at a MAC school in Ohio. And even when we got through the season, they had us waking up at 5 o'clock lifting weights. During the season, 5 o'clock lifting weights. 5 to 6, you lift weights. 6 to 7, you in there in the film room. And guess what? This was all not mandatory. Like the film, you had to go in and you needed to be signing the door. You got to sign the log. Like that showed you was in there at 7 doing the film work. Then they was like, listen, just because you watched it at 7 don't mean you could get down here to the stadium earlier, get you some treatment before practice start for the week, and get you some more film work in from about 1 to 2. And you could be down here. All you off-campus guys that got cars, y'all could be down here early. Y'all, you know good and well what we doing, right? So they was asking us to voluntarily come in, and we college kids that had to go to class. And we a MAC school. This ain't Big Ten. This ain't SEC. This is MAC. Now, you juxtapose what he just said to what I just said, and it seems like it's an alternate universe. Like, this is the highest level. Y'all don't got to do nothing else. Y'all have nothing else to do but that. Ain't no football, ain't no, during the season, your family and friends should know what it is. I ain't going on vacations. We ain't about to be going out late at night. We ain't doing none of that. We just, because I'm locked in, dialed in. For him to say that with such concrete, just conviction, means that not only do I think it's true, that this been happening for a minute. So you got guys that ain't put no extra work in the film room, no tendencies, not learning what the game plan is, not learning what everybody do, not just what you do. Like back in the day, it was, hey, when we used to have to get in front of the board, we had to draw the whole defense. And you ain't dropping in the coverage, you ain't in safety or corner. But they say, listen, when we get up there, all of the stuff, all of the whole trimmings, everything, the corners, safeties, linebackers draw the whole front. And if you didn't know the whole front, you might not play. So my thing is to have him say that, and to know that 2 out of your top, I guess, most expensive players, or the players that are making the most money in a Denzel Ward, in a Myles Garrett, is not saying, not only is that not the coach's fault or for doing that, that's not their responsibility. Where is it that we hold the responsibility where I'm checking the log, like, hold on. Hey, I need everybody in here. Hold on. It's saying we missing 2 people in the log. Which 2 people on the defense didn't come watch no film this week? That's what they need. Who's doing that? Who's doing that? And you can tell if that's happening, why they look like they do the way they look.
Yeah, it's explaining some things without question. All right, let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hi, Les. Good morning. This is Billy G. from Florida. I've been a fan since 1950. And I called you the other day prior to that New England fiasco, and I'm going to reiterate on a few things that I said. First of all, their defense stinks. They don't have a quality linebacker or really a quality defensive lineman. And I don't care what anybody says. Myles Garrett is overrated. I don't care. He's just overrated. The whole team is overrated. Brissett, they need to make a change and maybe put that Dobbs kid in and give him a chance, because how much worse can he be? And I said, well, maybe they'll win another 1 or 2 more games. Well, chances are they ain't going to win another game. And I hate to say this because I know good football teams that the Browns had in the past, but this one ain't good at all. That's all I got to say. Bye.
All right, as always, appreciate all the voicemails. The fan base is riled up. I don't think Dobbs can help unless he can play linebacker or defensive tackle and help stop the run. And I got nothing against Josh Dobbs, but right now, unless you address somebody that can stop the run, you're not helping.
Well, Andrew Berry set himself up for that. See, I'm an equal opportunity guy. If I'm going to sit up here and tell you about, Baker Mayfield all day and twice on Sunday, I got to keep it 100% real about what's going on with the roster construction. Now, let's be clear. They knew who they had. They knew Tommy Togiai. They knew what Jordan Elliott was talking about. They knew Perrion Winfrey was a project. They knew Taven Bryan was a guy that got cut by Jacksonville, who was a former first-round pick. Now, think about it. You in Jacksonville. Jacksonville been horrible the whole, 3 years. How you get cut in Jacksonville? That has something to show you right there. A first-round pick in Jacksonville that got cut. I don't know if that's something I'm going to write home as far as the defensive line is concerned. But here's the problem. You knew that. You understood that. But yet and still, you went into the season making no adjustments. Zero, right? No adjustments. We said, hey, what about another receiver? We don't need a receiver. We don't value them. We get some third-round guys. We can put them with Amari Cooper. Yeah, that sounds cute right now, but wait till you get to the season because that field shrinks down and it constricts in a hurry. Now you're looking at the defensive side of the football. You're saying, well, you told me, you told me you like Jacob Phillips. You drafted him. You drafted JOK. You drafted these defensive linemen. You knew they weren't good enough. So either you're going to do something about it, which I'll give them credit. They wouldn't have got Deion Jones, but Deion Jones is for naught. Deion Jones means nothing if you continue to trot these defensive tackles out there that can't get off blocks, that's getting blown off the football. If you think that linebacker is going to, you got to have guys that stay clean. Guys got to be able to keep guys, especially smaller linebackers who are speed coverage linebackers, they need to keep those guys clean. And the defensive tackles is like every man for himself. I'm having a worse enough time up here with these center and 2 guards. Forget keeping people clean. I'm trying to keep clean. And that's just not a good recipe for winning football games.
Yeah, the only guy that they have that's intriguing is Tyler Davison, and that's a guy that they signed to the practice squad. So he is a big guy. He does absorb double teams, so we'll see if they activate him.
They should.
I'm with you. All right, before we go to break, Roger Goodell came out, says Deshaun Watson followed all the terms of his 11-game suspension, keeping him on track to return to the field December 14th. So Goodell addressed that at the owners' meetings yesterday afternoon. So that is good news. And, Deshaun Watson is a guy that can help because he's a guy that will help this offense outscore opposing offenses, which you may have to do.
This is the part, right? I wonder how many – see, this is the cool thing, right? Now, it ain't cool. Like I said, cool, but – I wonder how many people were, excited about the fact that, maybe he gets there's a lot of people in Cleveland. There's a lot of people that root for the Browns that wanted to see him, take, more than 11 games. There's people that is in the fan base that didn't want to see them go out and get Deshaun Watson. But I'll say this, anybody that was on the fence, anybody that was kind of in the middle of it, or just saying, I don't know what side I'm landing on it, I guarantee that they're super duper excited that Deshaun Watson is he's back in the building getting ready to play. Because I'm going to be honest with you, it's easy to sit here in the summer and say, oh, we don't need this guy. He's a headache. We cool with Brissett. We cool with Garoppolo. We might want to bring Baker back. Hindsight 2020, you look back at what everybody was saying, and you like, well, we'd have kept Baker, we might have still been 2-something. Jacoby Brissett, he is what we thought. Hey, Jimmy Garoppolo, okay, I get it. Now, when he comes back, there'll be a large contingency of people that'll say, oh, thank goodness, we'll take that and move right along. They were moving right along. He did exactly what he needed to. So, I mean, it can't come quick enough. I'm going to be honest with you.
I'm with you. It will make a difference. G. Bush and I are going to take one more time out other side of the break. Turn our attention to the Ravens. The game the Browns have to win coming up Sunday. Sports for CLE will be right back. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
2-4 Browns getting ready to face the 3-3 Ravens. We continue talking Browns with G. Bush, 92.3 The Fan, and the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Take a look at this. Ravens have had some of the same issues the Browns have this year. Ravens are the first team in NFL history to hold a double-digit lead in each of their first 6 games and not have a winning record. So Jim Harbaugh talked to the media this week, and this sounds a lot like Kevin Stefanski and the Browns. Listen to Harbaugh on what the defensive issues are.
We just didn't play the coverage right. The coverage was misplayed underneath. So it's a boot pass, the way we play it. It wasn't matched correctly. It's just something that we practice all the time. We should be better at it. It was a mistake. And, we can get that cleaned up and fixed. There's going to be things in the game. There's things that happen in the game on both sides. There's mistakes that get made that get taken advantage of. And football's not perfect. Guys match the wrong guys sometimes. Their eyes are in the wrong spot sometimes. Sometimes they overplay something and something else comes in behind them. That's the nature of the game, So sometimes you pay for it and sometimes you don't. Sometimes they pay for it and sometimes they don't. But in that case, we can play that coverage better, but just keep working on it.
G. Bush, I'm listening to John Harbaugh, and we're going, man, this could be a Browns press conference.
Yeah, he just does a little better. He just does a better job of coming off more personal, right? I think there's a lot of what coaches say. They say the same thing. The content is the same. It's just the way that you go about it, right? The way you couch certain things, right? He said, look, hey, sometimes, it ain't a perfect sport. Sometimes you're going to get gashed on certain plays when you're in the wrong thing. Sometimes you won't. That's a reality of it. But when you look at the difference between them and the Cleveland Browns, the part that happens with the Browns is this. We've watched them for 30 years. We've heard the same thing for 30 years. So after the 6th or 7th dude get up there as a coach and say it, younger people might not get it, but shoot. I mean, you've been watching the game longer than I have. You've heard this stuff, and after you hear it, you cool with it the first year because it's all right, I got to give him a chance. But when you get to year 3, year 4, you're like, I'd have heard all of this song and dance before. I ain't trying to hear it. Hey, my coach used to say, hey, don't tell me about the labor pains, just show me the baby. and I told him, now that I get older, I said, well, you couldn't have been married. You can't say that in 2022, buddy. You better just sit there and hold her hand.
All right, we're going to take a look. Pete Prisco, CBSSports.com, a guy who really likes Kevin Stefanski, says the Ravens beat the Browns 33-19. Lamar Jackson will have a big game against the Cleveland defense that is bad right now. This won't be close. And G. Bush, the thought of Lamar Jackson and any running back that they have concerns me greatly with the way this defense is playing.
No, I told you I don't want to keep going to that 2-7, but they couldn't stop Lamar Jackson when they had Clowney and Garrett and they was healthy. And better D tackles than they had last year. right? They couldn't stop him, for doing what he wanted then. So we you got Alex Wright and these guys out here, and Isaiah Thomas and Isaac Rochelle. Come on, Isaac Rochelle. Come on, that's Lamar Jackson, man. They and they can't stop tight ends, so Mark Andrews will get his money off. They got a running game. They'll probably come out and just run the ball if they really want to. And I just don't seriously know what the Cleveland Browns are going to do as far as their adjustments go to stopping that. And I would say that you could just keep the ground control and you could run Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. But more and more progressively, it just seems that Kareem Hunt has been phased out of this offense. We started off seeing them guys both in the backfield. Have not seen that in a few weeks. And then on top of it, there's this unofficial pitch count, which if I had an opportunity to talk to him as to a man, I would want them to basically come out and just stop the charade. Nick Chubb is on a 20-carry basis. They've already, in my opinion, this is my conspiracy theory, they've already made the decision to say, well, look, we at least want the best opportunity to evaluate this team with Deshaun Watson. We're not going to get an opportunity to do that this year. His next year will be a full year. That's when we'll go about doing what we need to do to put pieces around him. But we're not going to wear Nick Chubb out and get him 30 carries a game and get him 19 to a 2,000-yard season, because that's tearing the tread off of him. So what we're going to do, we're going to save him 20 carries. Last week only 12 carries. And it almost seems like they've systematically just phased Kareem Hunt out of the playbook, because that's the justification for saying we got to move on from him. He really wasn't giving us the same level of burst. And we did draft Jerome Ford, and we liked Ernest Johnson. So, all these things seem pivotal to me. All these things seem really like undercover. But, I just think that the Browns could be in the contention for this game. They won't do what they need to. I don't think they'll run it enough that will make any sort of difference to the time of possession and keeping the game close.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't done it the last few games, so I got to agree with you. Until I see them do it, I'm going to say they're not going to do it. I'm with you.
Yeah.
G. Bush,
what are you going to do?
I know. As always, show us on Sunday. As always, G. Bush. Great stuff. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
All right, G. Bush, make sure you catch him. 92.3 The Fans, The Barbershop, 8 until noon on Saturday. Also, Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, 11 to 1 here on YouTube all the time, Monday through Friday. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. Brad Ward on the other side of the break. Sports for CLE. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I am powerful beyond my wildest imagination.
I will define my future.
I will keep challenging myself to improve.
Because I am a future leader of this great nation.
I will be responsible for raising a beautiful family.
And educating not only my generation, but many more to come.
I will make a difference in my community.
And I will stand up for what I believe in.
I will not settle for simply chasing my dreams. I will achieve them.
Because I was given a chance.
An opportunity.
A home.
At Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America.
The ultimate leadership experience.
FCCLA has been one of the greatest experiences of my life.
It's made me who I am today.
Join us. We'll build a new future together.
We continue talking Browns here on Sports4CLE. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hello, Dave. This is Ernie from Virginia calling again. I've recovered from the debacle over the weekend, so I still have hope that the Browns are going to be able to get to that Super Bowl before I die. One thing I do want to mention, though, is that all this talk about Myles Garrett being double-teamed, triple-teamed, that's all well and good, but what does that say for the rest of the team? If he's getting all that coverage, why isn't anybody else getting in there? Is that the players? Or is that on the coach? I mean, clearly, if he's getting three guys on him, there's got to be somebody or some other way to get people in on the quarterback for the other team. So I'd just like to hear your thoughts on that. Thanks.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Let's welcome in Brad Ward, BrownsWire.com, as well as the All Eyez on Cleveland podcast. And, Brad, that's a really valid point. Without Jadeveon Clowney there, nobody else is stepping up there, and we've talked ad nauseum probably on this show. There was going to be opportunities for young guys to step up defensively. Nobody's doing it.
Yeah, nobody's doing it. They're trying everybody they got, all their rookies. Chase Winovich has been hurt the entire time. He was supposed to be the Tack McKinley fifth pass rusher this year. He's not doing it. Yeah, there's nobody that really can generate any pressure when Clowney's not on the field. And it hurts Garrett because he's going to get even more attention. And he's getting that attention anyways. So it should free up other guys to get to the quarterback. And they're just not creating any pressure. Any pressure they do create, they have to dial up and take somebody out of coverage, which is probably the last thing they want to be doing.
Let's talk a little about roster construction. And I know one of the things you've kind of talked about some, maybe some miscalculations here by a general manager who's done a pretty good job putting a roster together.
Yeah, he has. I'm a fan of Andrew Berry, but we talked about this in the offseason about the not spending any resources, any assets on the interior defensive line. And a lot of that was analytics-based thought, that you're going to have all these high-powered offenses in the AFC who are going to want to throw the ball all over the place. And so instead, what we're going to do is invite teams to run, right? We're not going to spend a lot on the interior defensive line, and we're going to invite teams to run. Well, the problem is they've ran into average to below average quarterbacks so far this season who are teams that run the ball. And they've gotten gashed in the run game by those teams. And then now, of course, you see it across the league even further. Points are down, running the football is up, because all teams are seeing that teams, the best way to defend a high-powered offense is these shell coverages, and the best way to get teams out of those coverages is to run the football. So you're seeing it all over the league now, and it just seems like a big miss and miscalculation by this front office where they thought they could invite teams to run. And if you recall, when we talked about it, we said, yeah, that's all fine and good unless you're giving up 14 a pop. Well, guess what? They're giving up 14 a pop in the run game. So it feels like they missed in the way that they calculated, the way the AFC was going to play out, and the way that their defense was going to be constructed.
Yeah, not only are they inviting, they're rolling out the red carpet for folks to run on them.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit just about team defense and how important it is and kind of what you've seen from the Browns so far.
Yeah, so the best defenses, Dave, are defenses that are team-centric, week in, week out, game plan based on your opponent, right? So, like, they spend the week getting ready for the opponent. Here's what they do. Here's how we stop it. This is what we need to run this week to slow them down. My question is, how can the Browns ever do that right now when all they're dealing with is internal issues? Are we in zone too much? Are we in man too much? They spent an entire week last week, Dave, working on the principles of tackling again. Like, things like that are at the forefront of your mind and the time that you're spending in practice, how can you even take a look at what the opponent is doing and spend the appropriate amount of time that it takes to get ready for an opposing offense? Just seems off.
Yeah. My perception is the defense is very reactive this year, and I've said that a number of times. They're not dictating anything to anybody. They're sitting there. It's like there's a hole over here. We better plug that. There's a hole over here. We got to plug that. It's not the way. When you play defense that way, you get the results this defense has gotten.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and it is. It's just like, hey, we've got to fix this problem this week, or we've got to fix this breakdown this week. And if you're doing that every week, you can't be getting ready for what the other team does best. You're just trying to fix what you're doing wrong. And that's never going to provide you a good result on the defensive side of the ball.
All right. A lot of fans, we get a lot of phone calls. People want Joe Woods to be gone. In your mind, what will be the determining factor on if Joe Woods is here or not?
So I think, Dave, that you have to ask 5 questions, right? First one is he going to be gone at the end of the season regardless? Like, if you reach that point where you feel like he needs to go no matter what, whether it's now or at the end of the season, I think we're very close to that, right? Does changing the voice in the locker room alone seem like it'll make a difference? I think so. Part of that is because of question 3, which is effort an issue? I've seen a lot of going through the motions. I've seen effort be an issue. So when effort's an issue, then I think you need to change the voice because something's not getting through. The 4th question is, are you desperate enough to think that firing that coach will provide you that lift that sometimes a team gets when they fire a coach? I think the Browns are desperate enough to try to get that lift. The 5th question is the problem, right? Can you afford to fire him before you play Baltimore, who is probably the most different team you get ready for all year, and Cincinnati, who he's had a ton of success against? So I would say, yes, I think he should be fired, but probably wait until the bye week.
Yeah, and that's so it goes Ravens, Bengals, bye, and if the Browns are not able to win both of these next 2 games, it's going to be a pretty tough trudge uphill for them to get anywhere close to where they want to be. Brad Ward and I are going to take one more time out, other side of the break. We'll continue talking Browns, look a little bit forward to the Ravens. Sports4CLE, be right back. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns with Brad Ward from BrownsWire.com, the All Eyez on Cleveland podcast. John Johnson talking about the Browns defense, which so far has underperformed.
The numbers are going to be the numbers. Obviously, we want to be the best. We're far from that right now. But what's most important is winning. And we got 2 games coming up, division games. I think if we win both, we'll be in first place. And, as bad as we're playing, that's the big picture. And that's what we're trying to focus on.
And Brad, we've said it. It's true. If they go out and they beat the Ravens and they beat the Bengals, 4-4, they'll be in first place in the division. Having said that, I can't imagine how they go out and beat the Ravens and beat the Bengals the way they're playing.
Yeah, it's hard to fathom right now, right? Like, there's a fundamental issue with the communication on this defense, and it's been that way since like week 2, really. And anytime that's happening, you're running into where a guy has doubt where his teammate's going to be, or if he has to think about where somebody's going to be on the defense, then he can't play fast and he can't play aggressive and he can't play. If you're thinking, you're dead, right? Like, and that's what I feel like this defense is stuck with. Like, the miscommunication has led to so much thinking that they can't just play. And yeah, they may be talented and athletic and everything that we want on a defense, but all of the gaffes and the miscommunications and the blown coverages have led to so much thinking that they can't use that athletic ability, use that aggressiveness to just go play football.
All right, NFL Week 6 secondary rankings by Pro Football Focus, and this is quite telling. Eagles are number 1, Broncos number 2, the 49ers are number 3. The Browns are 25, down 8 spots. 21st in EPA allowed per passing play. Denzel Ward has allowed 293 yards, 28 targets. Quarterbacks have a 130.2 passer rating when targeting Grant Delpit. There's way too much talent for that secondary to be ranked that low. They should be a top 5, certainly a top 10 secondary.
It's really incredible, and never would have fathomed that, Dave. You know, I wonder, though, and I wonder this about Joe Woods, like, at what point, the way that Grant Delpit has played it, I know you invested high capital in him, but at what point do you put, like, D'Anthony Bell in, or put somebody else in and give him a shot? Because you just leave them out there to continue to get torched. There's no accountability. And it's like, you got to try something else, right? You're paying other guys on this team too. Like, I would love to see D'Anthony Bell get a shot. I would love to see them try something different on the back end than the way that they're using Delpit right now, because he continues, as those numbers state, to get torched every week. And Denzel Ward has had a bad year. Individually, Emerson and Newsome have been okay, but it's just collectively, they're all not on the same page. So it's hard to fathom that we would be here and looking at that ranking of this secondary at this point in the year, Dave.
Yeah, and right now, nobody on that defense is having, even nobody that's on the defense can you say is having a good year, because that defense has been that bad. Even Myles Garrett, it is a unit, and the unit is not getting it done. They're not taking the ball away, and I think that's one of the keys. They were -3 in the turnover. That's why that game got away from them against the Patriots. In my mind, if they don't win the turnover battle, probably +2 against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, I don't think they're going to win. That's the path to beating the Ravens, +2 in turnovers.
Yeah, Lamar will throw you the ball, right? If you put pressure on him and give him some pressure and force him to make throws from the pocket and contain him and don't let him scramble, he'll give you the ball. He'll give you shots to take away from him. We've seen that in the past with him throwing us the ball and turning it over fumble-wise and whatnot. So the opportunities will be there, but let's be honest, this defense hasn't been very opportunistic, among other faults this year, Dave. So they need to change that, among many other things, by Sunday. So throw up a prayer, I guess.
Yeah, and again,
it changes quickly.
I don't see how they do it. What way do you see the Browns defeating the Ravens?
I think that you would have to get the one thing that you can lean on is that in the past, and this is kind of why I mentioned that about Joe Woods, is Joe has kind of had decently successful games against Lamar, and Lamar playing against Lamar and the Ravens offense is different, right? It's different than any other team he play all year. And so if they can lean back into some of that success that they've had in the past and scheme up a game plan that they can all get on for this one game and stay disciplined to that. I mean, they would have to, like you said, turn him over a couple times, and you'd have to get a really good game out of Jacoby Brissett. He has to not regress any further or bounce back from his game of regression last week to where he was prior to that. And then they would have a chance, I think. But, it's not for lack of talent, right? It's just basically for lack of everything else that has not gone right for the Browns this year. So, yeah, they got to get a little lucky. They got to be opportunistic. They got to get some turnovers, and they got to get a good Jacoby Brissett.
Brad Ward, as always, appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Brad.
Thank you, Dave. You're the best, man.
All right, have a good one. Brad Ward, make sure you check him out, brownswire.com. Also, the host of the All Eyez on Cleveland podcast. It's going to do it for us on this edition of Sports for CLE. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 4. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow on Sports for CLE.